Cloud. All right. Good morning, everybody. Hello out there in the universe. And welcome, Laleh Hancock.
I'm so happy to be here today.
Thank you for being my guest. It's really cool to, chat with my friends from around the world. And you're right now in Florida. I'm curious. Tell me how you found access. What was
Oh
that?
my gosh. It's so funny. I met someone at a training. It was called Quantum Touch. And I worked on her knee for about 15, 20 minutes. And she didn't have flexibility in her knee for over 6 years. And she had so much flexibility. She was like, I'm going home and I'm walking my dogs for lunch. I'm like, okay, cool. And we started to get to know each other and worked on different things with her and her peanut allergy and some other stuff going on in her life. And it was really interesting because back then, everything for me was about business. So these tools for me on the weekends I would learn were like the tools for my toolbox, like someone was stressed or something wasn't working. And then she called me and said, listen, for your birthday, can I come and gift you something I just learned? It's called the bars. And I was like, yes, like immediately said yes. I didn't even know who said yes, me or my body, And that's where the journey began. She came for my birthday. She laid her massage table down and she says, you don't have to do anything. I just have to look at my little chart. She had just learned it. And she says, you just relax. And I was like, okay. And before that, she kept trying to get me to go to the website, the old website
Oh
and
my
learn
gosh,
about
the
it.
old website.
And I was like, this website does not work for me. I have no idea what she's talking about. But every time she would message, I'm like, it doesn't matter. I don't need to look at a website. I know you got to come. Let's do this. And I laid down and she put her hand on the back of my head, like the back of my skull and the third eye. And within 30 seconds, I was like melting. Like I normally a happy, joyful person. I'm what this world says I'm a positive person, always look at the positive outlook. But there was a level of relaxation with creativity and joy in my body, in my world. I didn't know what just hit me. I just said, I don't know what this is, but I have to tell the whole world about it.
Wow.
And that was the beginning and continues to be one of the things that I just love about the tools is it's a different experience each time.
Definitely. So what happened with the quantum touch then?
No, no, I used to do things for once or twice or
Mhm.
whatever, and kind of it would lead me to the next thing. Quantum
Oh,
Touch was
true.
amazing. I met so many incredible people through that journey. But before Access, I was an executive. I was learning tools in my toolbox. I was not interested in being a practitioner or facilitator, any one tool. I
Mhm.
was just curious and I wanted a little bit of this and a little bit of this. And I would ask questions and then boom, my path would take me to that next tool. It still does. It still does. It's just different.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny while you're talking about this, it's like I did a number of things as I was growing up. I was always seeking something else.
Yeah.
Um, but everything else was static and would just keep repeating itself. And with access, everything like grows and gets deeper and wider and like it's constantly changing. So it's like it's new all the time.
Yeah. Like, it's interesting. 12 years ago is when I had my first bar session. And yesterday I got my bars run too. And I can tell you, like, the cool part is each session is unique to you, that moment, what's going on in the world that moment. Like, it's so unique it's not even saying it's the same thing, even though it's the same points. It might be a different person running it on you, but it's just so unique to what each of us is ready to receive, ready to let go of.
Mhm.
And it just makes me feel so good.
Yeah. It's yeah, when when my kids were really little, I started Access and I used to use it on them all the time. And then years later, when separated from my marriage and all of that, and my husband left Access, my kids sort of took his point of view and didn't want to do it anymore, didn't want me to do it on them. And fast forward 14 years after we've gotten divorced, my daughter's had some weird health things from food poisoning, and nothing from this reality is working. And the other day, she was just so in her head about, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I said, would it be okay if I just pulled out the gravity chair, pick out a movie, and I'll just, do that thing? Like, I don't even want to call it bars because there's such a button about it. She's like, okay. And we did. And the next day, she was just so much calmer and she could face the different steps that she needed to take with this presence instead of all the crazy thoughts in her head. And that's really the gift of bars, is like it gives you the presence, it helps you let go of all your conclusions about how things have to show up or what they're not doing. And um, we all need that.
It's interesting because when I found the tools of access consciousness, my kids were in high school, so they were older. And I had my mom and my two girls and me take our first class because I had so many plans, like we're going to run each other's bars, we're going to do this together, it's going to be a family journey. And I realized, no, 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 like that was my journey. That was not anybody else's journey. But my kids learned, hey, it feels good. So, mom, can you do it before exams? So we started to incorporate before exams, and I would do it. They were runners in high school, and so we would do it before races, and the other tools like the body processes, if anyone got injured or something happened, and they would see how quickly things could change.
Mhm.
Like that moment of a little bit of anxiousness before exam, like they felt really good. And the minute they would get in the class, they would get anxious. And they're like, Mom, I'm not sure what it is because I know the information. And I was like, darling, what if you're actually picking up everyone else's
Mm.
nervousness from the exam? And so the bars would help them feel more connected to who they were
Mhm.
than everything else they were picking up along the way. And then in college, they would book me in advance before their finals and stuff like that. So, Mom, you can't travel. You need to come. We need to get our bars right. It was
That's
amazing.
awesome.
It was amazing. And I remember like one particular, like I would go to their college, I would run bars, I would teach them tools from a program that I do called Leaders of Tomorrow. And it was amazing the different transformations that occurred. Like one young man was like, um, yeah, I really want to get my bars run, but can we do it like at a certain time? I'm like, no, I have a Zoom. I can't do it then. He's like, okay. I said, I'll catch you next time I'm here. And then I get out of my Zoom, I come out, and he's sitting there waiting for me.
Mm.
And I was like, hey, I thought you weren't going to be here. And he's like, well, I didn't tell you the truth of where I was going. And I was like, okay. And he goes, I don't know why, but I know I need to get my bars run. I said, okay, come. I ran his bars. He felt amazing. He's like, I've had so much conflict with my roommates. My mom and I are fighting all the time. I am I'm a straight A student. I'm doing terrible in school. Like there was this inner fight going on in his world. And the only thing that would work was for him to smoke pot.
Hmm.
So that moment we were going to run bars, he was supposed to go buy his stash. And instead, he didn't. And do you know, he felt so good with the bars. The next week, when I came to see him, he brought it and gave me his pipe and said, I'm throwing it away. I don't need it anymore. The tools because I taught him who does this belong, a bunch of different access tools. And he's like, my mom and I are getting along the last week. My roommate and I are getting along. My grades are going up. I felt I couldn't survive unless I smoked. Then I realized, no, I have the inner power and I don't require it anymore. And it was just this beautiful transformation of like, I had no idea what was going on. I just knew I wanted to go
Yeah.
run his bars, you know?
Wow.
But like all the ways it empowers us to let go, like you said, those conclusions, like this is my only choice, and to allow us to choose something different.
Yeah. And and back then pot was illegal, right? But
Yeah. And in Maryland, it's still illegal. Yeah. It's
really,
still illegal
hmm.
there. Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, but like it's just escaping and putting off the dealing with whatever is. And when they say in science you look at a molecule, you can change it, but if you don't, if you avoid it, you can't change it. So it's just going to come back later on. And with the bars, you're looking at it without having to look at it mentally. It like clears. So you're so much more present and you can handle whatever shows up. It's
You know,
just amazing.
this is fascinating for me because I was a science major, I was a biology major. And, for me, science was always like the answer to many things. Yeah. And one of the things I realize is that it's not about science or no science. It's like innately, what do we know?
Hmm.
And finding the tools that really help you to bring out what you know. Like the thing is, most college kids don't want to spend their birthday with their mom. You know what I mean? They want to hang out with their friends. And that year, he spent his birthday and Thanksgiving with his mom instead of hanging out with friends. Like that transformation was huge in his world. But not only one thing, when he was willing to like actually bring more choice in his life, it actually changed everything in his life. So, I say the bars, but it's the bars, but it could be something else for somebody else and finding what is that for you. For me, it's been a gift. But it doesn't mean it's going to be that gift for everybody. So I really get, getting people to really explore outside the box, try it, see if it works for you.
Yeah, what works? Just what works. Do what works instead of all the
Yeah.
things that don't work and trying to force them to work because they work for somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah. And I get to travel. It's been really cool to be in the US, but I've been traveling like globally a lot, nonstop the last 4 years. And it's been really cool to like see how different the world is and
Mhm.
not different at all. We have our little uniquenesses to how people do things in the US versus in Europe and Russia and, the UAE and Middle East and stuff like that, or Central America. But still, it's still very similar how people are reacting to things, how they're dealing with situations. And like you said, with the molecule, when you avoid the molecule doesn't go away. It's just a temporary band aid you're putting in place. And then when it shows up again, it's going to show up even louder because
Mhm.
it's trying to get your attention even more. And I see that truly we are oneness. We are all here really seeking very similar things is how can we be happier? How can we allow our businesses to grow? And there's just so many things, but there's I don't know. The bars also shows me oneness. It really shows me there's no separation. And I find that people who are there fighting, when they get their bars on, they're just not fighting anymore. They're not fighting against themselves or others. There is this true communion and oneness that really exists.
Yeah. So beautiful. And the
It
relaxation,
is.
you know, um, that so many times people are in their heads and they're like forcing and trying to figure out uh, if you just relax, um, yeah, I was saying right before we jumped on that I was listening to the Talk to the Entities Summit with Shannon O'Hara from last year, and the section that I just chose, and I fast forward and just randomly, um, it was like somebody asking a question about creating her classes and wanting to include the spirit world, and she was trying to figure
Yeah.
out what that meant, and and Shannon was just like, well, where does inclusion come from? And and the woman just like, it's like it melted her brains, and there was this energy, even though it was a recording, there was this energy of like deep relaxation, barriers down. And it's like, oh, right, that, like, you don't have to push, you don't have to figure out, you don't have to fight, you don't have to plan, you can just invite and receive. And it's so different, so different.
Yeah. And for me personally, I I grew up in an environment of push, like in the Middle East, it is a lot of push energy. Even though I was only there till 7 and living in France and then living in the US, like there is an energy of push that is required, but
Mm-hmm.
not force. And, I was in the corporate world a very long time. And it's really interesting, exploring relaxation. It just seems like it's not in our, alphabet or anything else. It's like it's this thing outside of us. But yet, when we do relax, we are so much more aware of options, creativity, that gifting and receiving actually occurring. And it is one that I would say that it took me a while to actually learn it, and there's many things that I would say I easily communicate with trees and lands and businesses and stuff like that. Like that's always been in my world, even from a little girl. But I had focused so much on thinking,
Mm-hmm.
okay, here's a situation. Let's look at the different options we have, and let's look at the evaluate the risk and all this other stuff. And I realized, no, that's not me. I can actually ask questions, tap into the energy of it, tap into the future of it, and that can actually assist me in choosing from relaxation instead of the answers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the willingness, it's funny, what popped into my head is like childbirth. Like, you need to push and you need to relax. You know? And I remember
Oh yeah.
when I was in um, like before birthing lessons and breathing and all of that, they gave us all an ice cube to hold. And they're like, squeeze it in
Mhm.
your hand as hard as you can. And it hurt so much. And then they were like, okay, now hold this ice cube loosely. And you could hold it until the whole thing melted. It was such a
Mhm.
difference. So like using that contraction with it was just a completely different experience. So, learning to relax while you're going through whatever and being all the different energy flows and whatever is required, you can get through whatever it is with
Oh,
grace.
I'm stealing this. I'm stealing this ice cube scenario.
I haven't thought of that in 26 years. 27.
Yeah, that's so funny. Actually, my girls just celebrated their 28th birthday yesterday, and we were reminiscing the labor. I was like, that morning, because they're twins and they were born on Easter Sunday. And it really
Oh,
was that, we went for a walk as we usually do. And I was like, girls, it's a beautiful day if you want to come, even though it was 4 weeks early.
mm,
I was like, your aunt's going on vacation. If you want to meet her, you can come today. And actually the reason we went is because that was the first day I couldn't feel one of my twins. Like I could feel both of them each day, and that day, like, there was a few hours I couldn't, like, feel her. And the doctor's like, let's just go get you tested just in case. And as soon as I laid on the bed and they're putting, they're checking their heart rates and everything, boom, boom, contractions started.
wow.
And it was just like this. Literally, they both would have come at the same time if they could. And I remember when Mariah came out, they said, no, 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 let's pause. We're going to switch doctors. We're going to have the, residents come deliver the second one, and then we'll break her bag. But like, she was ready to come. And it was exactly this. It was like, please don't push, relax.
Yeah.
They're 5 minutes apart from each other, but I know, like, the way they were, like, they would have come at the same time if
Yeah.
it was physically
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. Wow. So interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. And how much we know innately. Like, that's what I want to bring this up. Like how often we don't recognize we are listening to the whispers of that energy. Or we know there's this knowing inside you. I used to call it my gut instinct, and now I can call it my awareness.
Mhm.
And how often we knew not to go down that street.
Mhm.
We knew, don't hook up with that person, don't get into business with this person. Like, we just knew, but then we kind of still went down that road, and then we learned not to do that.
Yep. Totally. Yeah. Well, choice creates awareness. And yeah, what if awareness isn't wrong?
Mm-hmm.
What if nothing we've ever chosen was wrong? Then,
Yeah.
then what?
Mm-hmm. That's actually one of my favorite things, because I've been divorced twice, and it's really interesting. Like, people ask me, hey, if you could do it again, would you do anything different? And I say no, because every experience, every moment, every laughter, every sadness, whatever, brought me here. I'm here with all of that awareness, all those choices, all that information. And even the ones that seemed a little different than what I would have chosen, like I would desire as a result, I gained so much awareness,
Hmm.
and I wouldn't give up any of that for anything.
Yeah. So true. I know. So no regrets. No,
None.
me neither.
No.
You
No,
know,
both my ex-husbands are great friends, and we all hung out together a few weeks ago at my daughter's event. And we're going to see each other in a few weeks at her graduation for med school. And this is the beauty of it. When we trust our knowing, it's not what the rules and regulations of fight, but what communion can we have? What gratitude can we have?
yeah. Yeah. And, with relationships, more and more these days, is very few people that can, make that duration. And who said that staying together forever is right? It's just a choice. And it seems like there's a lot more people who are parting with friendship, although I know there's a whole lot who are not. And I don't know if you saw, but I'm doing a 21-day clearing emotional baggage from the past on
Ooh,
YouTube. So it's
no.
free. And Today is day 9, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's changing a lot. I can perceive it every time I run the clearings. It's like, wow, it's awesome.
That's
So wouldn't it be
amazing.
nice
Yeah.
if you didn't have any baggage from your divorces and and you probably don't because you've used the tools and you've created friendships with them, or maybe there never was an issue. But even if it was a horrible divorce, that can change too. And that's the thing that I'm really looking at changing because of, holding on to the anger. Just it destroys your own body, but it also destroys the earth. And if we can let that all go, like I wonder how much more the earth can thrive as well as ourselves.
Totally. And I think this is the thing we don't realize, but there's so many hidden feelings, emotions, anger, all this stuff under the rug. So yes, I am grateful. And it was rare when with the first marriage, being friends was weird to everyone around us, even family, even friends, even, other moms at the soccer match, like they just couldn't understand how could you be friends. And I was just like, how can you not? Like, it was so not in my universe not to be. And how unique it was then. And knowing that those choices we made then, what is it contributing to the world today and what's possible? And I love that you're doing this clearing. And I look forward to sharing it with others to know because, each of us has that choice, just like that young man did in college. You know, he could have gone, done his routine as he did every other moment and created the same results. But he chose one thing to be different. And then he got other choices that he created in his life to be different. So, like each of us, when we are willing to let go, even if you think it's fantastic, be willing to also run the clearings and let the things you don't even know are hiding under the rug also go away.
Yeah. Yeah, because what happens is if we don't, it just keeps going into our future and showing up again and again and again in different relationships, different situations. It just, there you go. So truly letting it go energetically, you have this whole new space. And one thing that I've noticed is that it's so much easier to clear out the closets in the garage, like the wanting to hold on to things, it's gone. It's like, yeah, I don't think I'll wear this again. Okay. I won't use this again. We don't need it. I enjoyed having this thing. I don't desire it anymore. So let somebody else. Goodwill is going to have some good stuff.
I love it. How does it get better? You let go that item, it becomes someone else's treasure, someone
Yeah.
else's gift. So how does it get
And
better?
yeah, and I know that we've tried doing it in the past, and I, every year or every 6 months I do a clean out, but it's not always easy. And this time it was just no strings. So
I love it.
yeah, I'm
How does it
excited.
get better?
What else is
Amazing.
possible? Well, thank you
Truly.
so much. Do you have any classes or anything coming up that you'd like to invite people to before we wrap?
Well, we're kicking off something tomorrow. It's called 10 Days to Play and Increase Revenue Streams.
Mm,
And it's $25 and it's going to be 10 days of activities, different things we're going to do. And I just would love to invite the world to know, hey guys, no matter what's going on with everyone else, what are you choosing? And I'm all about play and fun and playing and creating. So, what else is really possible with the business of our lives? It doesn't have to be just your business in terms of, business, but actually everything in your life. How can we increase all of those revenue streams? And I have a lot of stuff coming up. If people want to go to globalwellnessforall.com/events, and you'll see we have book clubs, we have a lot of different topics, business, voice, horses, money, you name it. We have different things coming up.
awesome. yeah, I want to check out your increasing the money flows thing. That sounds like fun. So send me the link.
Hmm.
I'll post it on Facebook and also
Amazing.
on this
Amazing.
video. And thank you for joining. Thank you, everybody, now and in the future.
Thank you.
See you next
Thank
time.
you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.